my house.
I'm a millennial everything power hour.
Cheers! Ooh.
Much nicer than Jack.
Yeah, I can't believe
Joy.
you had Jack Daniels the first episode.
What? I mean, we were drinking beer. We've got a power hour on. Joy. It would have been better if it was SoCo, honestly. Like, that would have been more in line.
Yes.
With the times.
We do have a dog visitor below us as well. Lauren's dog, Joy.
Yes.
Lauren, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
Great to be here.
Joy, thanks for being here.
Yeah, she doesn't like the music apparently.
It's okay.
Well, we're doing another Power Half Hour. Again, for those listening, you won't be able to see and or hear the music videos because of copyright. But we will enjoy.
We'll do our best to keep you right here with us.
Enjoy the dog. Will not enjoy.
And Lauren has never done a power hour before.
So this will be college relived or lived the first time for you. Also, please note, I am enjoying a delicious box of Boda.
Yes. A nice, classy, dry rosé.
It's dry. Not sweet.
For ending. Oh, okay, and welcome to the Power Hour.
All
so
right.
the song has changed.
Charlie the Unicorn.
We are talking about a few things today. One of those is Charlie the Unicorn.
All things millennial.
And what YouTube was before.
Glory days of YouTube.
Any sort of Vines or TikTok or Reels, right?
Yeah.
But really the topic at hand is going to be our feedback on...
Okay, let's try. Joy hates Charlie the Unicorn apparently. Let's turn it down a little bit.
I think it's more that it's horses because she really doesn't like bigger animals than her.
Well,
they're not allowed to exist.
Joy, it only lasts for 60 seconds and then it changes, okay? Can we deal with it just for like that amount of time?
She's like, maybe.
All right, so refill your shot glass.
Yes, okay, here we go.
No, we are also talking about allergies and some of what we just covered on the Regina episode, which was another just great conversation about how to deal with dietary for big events. And
next drink.
To say this transition, Lauren, you are my really good friend with dietary concerns.
You came to mind immediately.
This is true.
But you are also in the fringe of events and have been to big conferences. You have participated in multiple years with Lollapalooza of executing that humongous event.
Yeah, just because you haven't necessarily been an event planner, you have seen all of the aspects of events.
100%.
And we have had our own podcast before.
Right. Yes.
Shout out to Lauren Ignited.
Oh, Lauren Ignited. What happened to her?
Where is she?
Is it still published? Can people listen?
Yeah.
It is because
People
I went to the website and found it.
Really?
I did, yeah.
Oh.
So
Our podcast from yesteryear was interviewing artists, musicians, restaurateurs.
ooh.
And
drink.
then our most popular episodes were episodes like this, where you and I would just literally talk.
All right.
A little classy, a little sassy.
Topo Chico. Topo Chico! Have you guys seen that TikTok?
No.
Topo Chico!
But how is it attending an event with dietary needs?
It can be terrible.
And let's clarify, you actually have dietary restrictions. This is not, I don't like onions.
Right.
Yes,
So I've always had a gluten allergy, but I didn't want to believe it for a long time. So I would continue to eat gluten, and I was miserable for years.
As a Texan and transplant to the Midwest, like, it's not the easiest to be gluten intolerant.
No.
Living in barbecue land or cheese land.
Right.
I mean, anywhere in the U.S., let's be real. Oh, next drink.
And then when 2019 hit, was it 20? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we were recording when your allergens were kind of
flaring
found.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in 2019, I found out that for sure I have a gluten allergy and need to stop eating it because I also had a meat allergy and I was eating both. So my body was just freaking out. And when I stopped eating meat and gluten, fine.
Yeah, magical changes, right?
Yes.
And it's not that you are like completely out of commission, but we are talking about it is a huge disruption in your day. You're not celiac, right? You aren't being sent to the hospital. But like you aren't able to enjoy the conference that you signed up for or the event that you signed up for, right? So
correct.
And
it's an immediate effect. It's not the day I get home. It's within 5 minutes.
That soon?
Yes.
Not even like 30 minutes? Like,
yes, like in the middle of the meal. I'm like, oh, well,
Next
here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Welcome to a power hour. It's strong bad.
This Power Hour is brought to you by Millennial Culture. It was named at the start of this, and it is holding true. So you have a few stories to tell us of like what a good experience looks like and what a bad experience looks like, right?
Yeah. I think but typically my thought process mentality going into it is I might not be able to eat.
You just like that's the world that we live in. You prep yourself to know. Like I've got purse snacks. Worst case scenario.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Pausing there. Yeah, the snack piece of it.
Yeah.
Do you come prepared?
Yes, I usually bring 1 or 2 like power bars. Like I like the Luna bars.
So you
but they're not
you
gonna
don't
really
march up to the
fill you up.
registration desk and like demand things and pitch a fit because you aren't accommodated to?
No.
That's very kind. You
I
you could be
know.
you could be more
You could be way worse.
Yeah.
I could be so bad, but I'm so nice. Usually I'll pack something small, but it's really not anything to like carry you through the day.
Sure,
It's not going to replace a lunch or a breakfast.
And at an event, like you are also, there's other dining options available.
Sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in your bad story,
Yeah.
you were kind of shit out of luck.
Yes, because we were
Literally and figuratively. You didn't need to drink
Roscoe's
yet.
on a weird day today.
I was still one behind. So.
Oh, okay.
So at this one conference, it was for our Chicagoans. It was at the end of Navy Pier.
Okay.
Right?
Sure. Yeah. So it's a trek to food.
I mean, it's like you can't just leave a session quickly.
Yeah.
It's going to take a 20, 30-minute round trip. And then you've already paid for the conference, which included food, and then you're buying food, which just feels terrible.
Yeah.
And you're paying for parking. It's like $25 minimum. Yeah.
Yes.
20. I think it's like $50 to park at Navy Pier.
Yikes. So this one conference, what really got under my skin was that they asked, do you have an allergy?
But let's break that down. Did they ask in a registration form?
Yes.
And so what were your boxes that you checked?
Yeah, because that was a key thing from Regina's interview. It was like, be specific. So yeah, what was your journey where they failed you?
I believe that they had gluten-free and vegetarian, and I think they wouldn't let me check them both.
Yeah.
But I put like a little note in there, or something like that.
And how many people are we talking in total would you estimate that event?
Was that the event? I'd say 500 to 1,000.
So
we're not even talking like 10,000.
500 rows in a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
In
It's
which
manageable.
30% have a dietary need, 20%. So we were talking 100 rows of a spreadsheet.
Yes.
Manageable to catch your note.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially if you have a note, right? Because then you can check and then you sort by the note. I know, because that was one of the first things Greg had me do when I started helping with food and beverage. Like
where I'm arguing kind of the other side of this is that like for 20,000 people at 20%, that's thousands of rows of a spreadsheet.
Right.
And inevitably, as much prep as you would want to do, something will slip through the cracks, right?
But also, when it's that big, like you can plan for that. Like you have the ability to say at least such percent might have this, but we digress. So you filled out your form appropriately.
I filled out my form. I told them my situation, which I know is very weird. I have met 2 people in the whole world that have both of these allergies. So that it's not a large percentage. I'm not like a huge population. But my frustration was that I did fill it out. They did ask. I did fill it out. When it came time for lunch, well, first, they had no options for breakfast. everything was pastries.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I said,
Yep.
but you
Because
knew.
it's cheap. It's cheaper.
Exactly. I'm
Yep.
like, but you knew,
Mhm.
and you still didn't accommodate. What does
You-
that say about me?
You did not receive a confirmation of what the dietary accommodations would be.
No.
Because that is something that we will do on our larger programs as
Oh.
well, is like, if we know that there are dietary concerns and this is what we are fulfilling, it's been done where we can accommodate breakfast because it's continental,
Mhm.
right? And you can take a whole piece of fruit, but you like that's going to be it for you, so come
Right.
prepared. But we will send out a correspondence that says, here is what we're accommodating, and here are the meals that you will have a set aside meal,
Mhm.
and here is where you will go pick up said meal. You know,
Yep.
That's wonderful.
Communication. So then at least you know in advance to pack more than a granola bar.
Right. So first, right off the bat, I was annoyed about breakfast because again, we're at the end,
Yeah.
like the absolute end of Navy Pier. We had to walk. Anyway, people know. So then, when it came time for lunch, I think they had given us little cards to indicate that we needed the gluten-free meal or vegetarian, whatever.
interesting. Was it seated?
Yes.
Okay.
But we weren't assigned. It
Open
was just
seating.
like open
You
seating.
bring the card with
Yeah.
you.
I think they just gave. I think it was in my packet, like in my
Okay.
little registration packet.
Yeah. Here's your scarlet letter.
Yes.
Right.
Like-
We hate you. Thanks for showing up. Everyone will know that you're annoying.
Did I tell you we almost did that with lanyards at one of the conferences I did?
Oh God.
I mean, the intentions were correct, right? It was one of the wealth conferences. So it was, how do we not irritate the attendees? How do we make their experience as seamless as possible? So like even the idea of taking the card out of your packet and placing it in front of you, they were like, we don't even want them to do that.
Yeah.
So I suggested colored lanyards. Like, we have plenty. They're not going to know what it means.
Yeah.
And we almost did it. And then the question came up of how am I being othered?
Yep.
And it was like, that's,
Yep.
you have to communicate. There's no world in which you can just read people's minds and make things happen.
Badges to me are the safe spot to do that.
Yes.
A little circle or an
Yes.
icon. It's the same as a place card. Everyone at the conference is wearing the badge. You know, like everyone has other icons for meaning different things
Yes.
already. So like that's the kind of inclusive
What
spot
would
to
Lauren's
put it
icon be?
in.
I don't even know.
It would probably be a V and a GF, right?
Okay.
Like I am
A
vegetarian.
vegan girlfriend?
I'm the vegan girlfriend.
Vegan is VG.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you got a VG and a GF,
Then,
you might be DTF.
Oh my God. Wait.
All of our power half hours are explicit content.
Yeah. Adults.
There's pogs on the TV, everyone.
And,
Cheers.
And we also missed Furbies.
Oh.
Oh, I forgot this dude.
Aw.
Oh yeah, I couldn't tell you. It's Cartoon Network.
No, it's
It-
Pog. It's the character,
is
the
the
cartoon
char-
character Pog. I
Oh,
forgot
I
he was a
don't-
thing.
yeah.
I didn't even know he was a
Yeah,
thing.
for our listeners, he's this like furry little guy. He looks like just like a ball of hair with a giant mouth, and apparently his name is Pog.
Yeah, pogs were for sure a real thing, and we had them, and they were cardboard pictures.
They were so silly, but I loved them.
And the slammers.
Yes.
We had a slammer that smelled like bubblegum, and to this day that like fake bubblegum smell, and there was like a 2-finger and a thumbprint.
Yeah, so you could really throw that
That's a good
thing
one.
down. Like the
Yeah,
concept
you
of that
wanted
game.
it.
Like throw
Oh, yeah.
a plastic circle at some paper circles and like see how many you get.
It's the Pokemon Go of our generation.
It is.
You know,
Yes,
like
100%.
So, you check the form, you
Yes.
get your scarlet letter, you sit
Yes.
down for lunch, and then what happens?
So then everyone starts getting served, except for me, and there was another lady at the table that was vegetarian. And so neither of us had our meal. And so for a little while we wait, then we start to ask people, and they say, oh, there's this one person that's going to deliver them. So then we wait again, and literally everyone had finished eating. I'm starving because I haven't had breakfast.
Yeah, no breakfast.
I've only been drinking coffee and the little granola bar, Luna bar that I brought. And I really want lunch.
Yeah. And you're not about to like trek all the way down Navy Pier
Yes.
to like the food court area to
Yeah.
buy your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And missed half the conference.
Exactly. And then it comes out, and I feel like it was the laziest attempt. It literally felt like, what do we have in the kitchen? this will work.
Mm-hmm.
It did not feel thoughtful, prepared.
Yeah.
And this is a huge point. And we talk about this in the Regina episode as well, of the culinary team is well-intentioned, but they don't always get it,
Yeah.
right? It is that famous scene from My Big Fat Greek Wedding, that you are not a vegetarian.
It's okay. I make lamb.
I make lamb.
I make lamb.
And if it is a multi-day, we've had this. We have a really good friend. She is celiac. It is hospitalization if too much.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's the first 5 minutes, and as a crew member, you do not want to eat scrambled tofu every day.
Mm-hmm.
Your breakfast, the one gluten-free option for breakfast that they have is not what you want to eat every day either, right?
Right.
So it is very important that now that this is becoming more widely known, to do actually a menu that it has some thought and curation to it.
Yes.
It's not just a line on a BEO that says, and 10 gluten-free meals,
Yes.
right? Chef's choice.
Yes.
It can't be chef's choice.
And or, as discussed in the Regina episode, if you can't accommodate it, you can get ahead of it.
Yeah.
The worst of the worst is what you're experiencing, which is you registered, you were told you were going to be accommodated, you were reinforced that you were going to be accommodated, and then you weren't. So even if you could have done something, by that time it is way too late. And that is where the event planner comes in. That is why we have event professionals, right? Because culinary has a lot to worry about, tons, again, to give them credit. It's a hard job. It's a hard, thankless job. The least we can do as event planners is try and look out for them. Be you don't have to worry about pissing off some dietary person, because if we have communicated appropriately, they should be prepped and already ready to with their plan B, whatever.
Yeah.
And to properties credits
Yes.
and culinary teams credits, a lot of the menus that we are seeing coming out are, the exception is that it's not gluten-free.
Yes.
Not that it is, everything needs to be labeled.
Yeah. Well, assuming the head chef has communicated with the banquet captain, has communicated with the people who printed the name cards. Also, again, it is hard. It is complicated. To be able to get gluten-free little tent card in front of the right pan on a buffet with everything that they have to do. As attendees, we get the luxury of just walking up and complaining, but as non-attendees, as we have all been, you see the reality of the layers of which that goes through and how many opportunities it has to break down.
Yeah.
So when they get it right, it's kind of a miracle.
Well, and generally speaking, it's an admin
Yes.
who has nothing to do with your event.
Yes.
That is producing your tent cards, your menu
Sure.
labels.
Yes.
This is no one likes to do it.
Yeah.
No one likes to print it off and peel it apart.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah, they're oh, I got the grunt work. Oh, I'm doing the thing that isn't important and nobody cares about. No, it's actually really important.
Yeah.
It's just time consuming.
hospitalization important.
Yes. Yeah. Can you please just do it right?
So what did you do? We missed a double rainbow,
Oh,
by the
here we
way,
go.
so cheers.
Oh wait. I don't
Double
have anything on.
rainbow. And now we have
It's so
now we have
beautiful.
Mulan. Cheers.
So I ate my crappy meal.
Yep.
Ugly, disappointing.
It was really so disappointing. It was really, gluten-free pasta has come a long way.
Yes.
This was gluten-free pasta from 10, 15 years ago.
Mhm.
It was terrible. And then everything else was just vegetables and some random beans. And I thought, I don't know that this has protein in it.
But can
Really?
we talk about that as well? That instead of making naturally gluten-free
Yes.
things, they were here's your gluten-free pasta. The thing that probably should be the last thing on the
Yes.
list, unless it is absolutely delicious,
Right.
Whereas, what do you know? Rice and risotto are naturally gluten-free.
Amazing.
And I get it. I've been in the culinary conversations that risotto for volume is hard, but it is possible.
Mhm.
We've seen it done many a time, and when you are portioning it out, and as long as you have the right liquid content to it, it is salvageable and it is delicious.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
So
So I
you
had to
survived.
go. I survived. I had to go to a what are they called? A vending machine, and I got a Snickers bar. But that
Snickers
was-
are gluten free.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
But that was the most protein-ish item that
Yeah.
I thought would carry me through the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And it didn't really. It was really terrible.
Yeah.
And on the flip side of that, to now frame out a beautiful story,
Yes.
you have been to an event where you were handled very well.
Yes. So I went to another event. This one was much, much larger, over 10,000 for sure. I couldn't really tell you how many.
And where was this at?
This was actually in Maryland
Mm.
at a hotel conference center combo. And they had like an opening event. And so it was all sorts of activities like photo booths and bars. And then they started bringing out little, had little buffets like just scattered throughout the event. And each buffet was a different type of cuisine. It was so cool. And so I walked up, I'm like, okay, what can I have from here? And went over somewhere else. What can I have from here? And there was a couple that just like, I could only have things that weren't protein.
Yep.
So I was talking to a friend that was also at the conference, and I was like, don't worry about it. It's just, this is what happens to me. It's fine. I just want to eat, or I'll eat when I get to the hotel room. I don't know. And she's like, no, Lauren. So she became the demanding person.
Yes.
She walked around
Everybody
and found
needs
somebody.
that
Your advocate.
My advocates, right? Thank goodness for her. So she went and found somebody, and then I don't even know, 15, 20 minutes later, maybe sooner, someone from the back kitchen brought me out a plate
Yes.
of the most delicious food.
Nice.
Yes.
Yes, it was
Cheers to
chickpea
that.
based.
Yep.
It was great.
So it is possible.
It is
It is doable. And I would say at those larger conferences as well.
They might have more to work with.
Well, it's just in a stations environment or a reception environment, the hardest thing to communicate to your attendees is like where to go to pick up your food.
Yes.
You know?
Oh my gosh. I've done maps. I've done like here's a literal passport of the reception. Go get your thing stamped, and they still are like, you didn't have sliders. We had 7. I don't know.
So like that communication going into the conference, like the amount of positive emails that we've received for just sending out that communication to say,
Yes.
here's where to go, here's what's available. We've even gone to the extent for like 1,000+ person conferences, like attached you will find the like full menu of the conference with all of the dietary listed. If you have any questions, please reach back out to us.
Oh, I love that.
And we're sending that to, 1,000+ people, and
Yeah.
there's a fair amount of email maintenance that happens with that, but it is worth the payoff to get
Yes.
ahead of a lot of these questions or surprises or I didn't know this was available type scenarios that could happen at any
really
event
cool.
Yeah.
of any size,
Mhm.
really. But I would say that trickles down to even social events like a wedding. Like your dietary guests would love that extra push to say, we've accommodated for you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't, I know you checked on your response card that you had an allergy, but if you received that email from the caterer going into the event to say,
Hey,
hey,
we
got
actually
you
read
covered.
the thing.
Yep.
And here's the menu that you're gonna get. Like
Yeah, like how special, right?
So nice.
actually, when I went to Lisa's wedding in September, I forgot I did this, but we talked about it at her wedding. I registered as a vegetarian because the venue she chose is amazing, and like we've booked it for like closing dinners and like very high end VIP events. So I was like, I want to test this venue, and like I didn't say anything to her. Didn't think
Yeah.
about it again until I sat down and I was like, oh, I guess I registered as a vegetarian. Of course I did, and got a beautiful risotto, and it was perfection. And everybody else at the table ordered meat, and they got a lovely, I don't remember if it was a prime rib or like a some really nice hunk of meat, and it looked really good. But Lisa, when she was making her rounds, came over to me and she was like, you got the vegetarian? And I was like, yeah. She's like, good. Yeah, how is it? You're testing them, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, I am.
Says the meeting planner bride. Like,
Yes. Oh, so good. But it was amazing. And like that, having booked that for 4 corporate events, like to be there as a wedding attendee, they don't know who I am.
Yep.
Like they're not rolling out the red carpet for me. I could have been anybody, and like it was really, really good. And I will remember that forever. Like it matters. Like that is how big of an impact it can make.
Yep. Let's talk about the vendor side a little bit. So as you are driving golf carts in Lollapalooza and escorting all of these celebrities that are performing on main stages.
Speaking of performing on main stages, right now on the screen we have Protozoa.
Oh, Xenon,
zoom,
Xenolapidus.
zoom.
What?
Zetus
Lapidus. I will confess that the wine hits heavier than beer.
Yeah, it is a little bit higher ABV. Which is
Also, I feel like this will be a statement every episode in which I'm like, the thing we're drinking is causing an effect.
yeah, that's why we're doing it. That's why Power hour.
What are you served as, to Rocio's point, like you are worker B, you know, you are golf cart driver number 14, you know.
Yeah.
No one is trying to impress you.
Definitely not. We often discuss that we had to be at the bottom of the whole entire staff list.
Out of everyone. Down.
Yeah, we're only above like the volunteers that pick up trash. You know, like that's it. I think.
Yeah.
But I would assume that this is the same for like craft meal if you're on a shoot, you know, for a film, or like any sort of the like ambassador meals I think of for our team. If you are just there and you are number 85 of your team,
You showed up just for that 1 4-hour shift, and like everybody's been there the whole conference. Like, all right, what are you getting? I don't care.
Yep. But for this Lollapalooza in particular, like you were working long shifts, you know. What were you served?
Amazing food. Amazing food. I still am like, catering.
At Lollapalooza.
At
also,
Lollapalooza.
like,
I know, and I guess because they have so much staff, and also some of the artists would come in there.
Sure. Okay.
Oh.
They had their own artist area.
Reading Rainbow.
Take a look, everyone.
Look, it's in a book.
But what they did was they would have, I feel like they had one particular caterer per day, and that caterer did the entire day. And so you'd see them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then the whole menu would change the next day.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Was it
and
buffet?
Every time, yeah, it was buffet. And every time, but they also had other stations. They had a hot buffet, then they always had a sandwich station.
Yeah.
All the things you want to make. They had a salad station.
Yep.
They had a dessert station. They had ice cream bars. They had like a whole ice cream thing.
For staff and crew meals, like a salad bar and a sandwich station go a really long way.
Yes, they do.
Because guess what? You don't want to have tilapia with lemon and capers.
No.
On a golf cart.
Every day.
Yeah.
You know, like and that, like, if I want a heavy lunch, I want the delicious garlicky buttery mashed potatoes.
Yes.
Or I want a bite of that, and then I want a salad.
Yes.
You know?
Because usually if you're staffing, you don't want to have anything heavy because you will crash and burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Crash hits harder when you got up at 3 or 4.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes. And you went to bed at midnight the night before.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So that's great to hear that they were accommodating and that you had a variety. And this came up on another podcast I was just listening to. Oh, it was an upcoming guest.
One of ours?
Yeah.
Oh, great, of course.
In that, like, buffets work well for staff and crew, your suppliers.
Yes.
It is, the food holds hot longer. The quality remains better. Your variety of pick and choose is
stretch it.
broadened.
Yeah.
So big encouragement to think about the variety of your stations, but bringing it back to the sustainability piece of it, like if you have to do one buffet, do one buffet with, I can choose my own adventure and do a gluten-free route. Choose your own adventure. I can do a meat and potatoes route. Choose your own adventure. You can do I'm pushing the boundaries because I want poke today. You know, like.
And everybody loves poke.
Yes. If the property does it well.
Yeah.
No one likes fish that is not sitting on ice.
Yes.
Raw fish,
But
not sitting on ice.
But also poke bowls, you don't have to have the fish. Everything else in the bowl is amazing. Like, you can just do the rice, gluten-free. You can do the veggies. You can do all the sauces. Like, it is the smartest choice.
And I feel like that's like one of my biggest gripes.
Right.
Is you can eat what I can eat.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, why not just put some of that into the menu?
Yep.
what was the olive tapenade that was misspelled in the fall?
Oh, yep.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, it was
Uh,
tampon.
No.
Yes. Yes. One of our guests had a program this past fall, and you were on site, weren't
yep.
you?
Oh yes, I was there.
Yes. Apparently, the menu card did not say olive tapenade; it said olive tampon aid.
Wow.
Tampons. So yeah.
It's a good learning moment.
Pay your event planners. Don't have some disgruntled intern put your things together, because like that's
Yeah.
what's gonna happen.
If you are working for a property, that will be the thing that is photographed. That is the feedback. That is the last impression of
Oh,
your
yeah.
property.
No
is
one forgets
your
that.
grunt work is not grunt work. Pay attention.
You can run millions of events flawlessly, but that one thing is what people will remember.
Yep. And if you can't commit to it, let's talk about this.
Yes.
If you walked up to a buffet and there was an 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17
Mm-hmm.
full menu printout that had all of the allergens on it,
Yeah.
that described everything that you were walking into, like, would you read it knowing that you
Yes.
have allergens?
Yes. 100%.
If there was a half meter, you don't, if there was a poster,
Yeah.
half meter board, like standing,
Mm-hmm.
this is something that I saw that worked really well. If lines form, or as you are entering a large meal hall, strategically placed half meter boards that have the full menu with the full dietary
So
on
there's
it.
something to read while you're waiting in line.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then stations with the menus as you are potentially waiting in line, hopefully not too long,
Yeah.
but the food truck concept of that, to say like, I can get this one thing from here
Yeah.
and I can see this from distance, to say, oh, I see that orange circle or yellow circle that says gluten-free.
Yeah.
That's what you're gunning into, right?
That is
Effective?
one of my that is one of my biggest frustrations just eating at restaurants. Like, the chef knows what's in it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yep.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
and especially with gluten, it can sneak in there in real weird ways.
Yeah.
So when menus don't have dietary restrictions labeled, I just feel like it's so lazy.
It is.
Yep. How do you feel about being handed a gluten-free menu versus incorporated into the full menu?
I kind of like it.
Okay.
Yeah, because then I know everything on this menu is for me, and especially because of my gluten-free and vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it'll be gluten-free, but it won't be vegetarian. So when everything at least is one or the of the two allergies I have, I can look for vegetarian.
Yeah.
Easier, you know.
Okay, I'm gonna pause because we only have 4 minutes left.
Okay.
So I feel like you had a bunch of really fun stories. So is there anything with our last 4 minutes that like you want to make sure to talk about?
I don't think so. The fun stories were most of the conferences.
Okay, cool.
We could do the private places, but I don't know that that's interesting to anybody.
Sure. Worth touching on, because it tips into our world and executive experience, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Like, you have someone who is there to quote unquote cater for your needs. And what is the expectation that you are coming into that with versus what is the reality of what that will look like? So this story that you had mentioned is private clubs in which you have a chef who is willing to accommodate whatever it is you want to eat,
Yes.
correct?
Again,
Correct.
you've gone through the registration, right? Like
Yeah.
you have entered a world where they have said, we're going to accommodate you and here's all of the ways we're going to do it.
Right. And I think they hit it out of the ballpark in a lot of ways, but they definitely oversold this ability.
Sure.
Because one thing, I think things were not marked if they were gluten-free or not. So I would just have to deduct,
Yeah.
Yep.
ask, verify, all those things, which I've always take longer because they have to go ask the kitchen, then come back, and then they check on another table on the way over, and everyone's food is there before you.
And we're talking about the experience where you like pick your own table and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I'm ready to eat today.
Mhm.
And this is what is available for you.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah. And so I was told there's lots of gluten-free options. They will be very accommodating. They will adjust the recipes if needed. And I literally tried, I want to say 80% of their gluten-free menu.
Got it.
Most of it was not very good.
Mm.
I literally had a grilled cheese served to me with cheese that was not grilled in the middle.
Yeah.
It was grilled cheese and then just cheese.
Let's just pause to say I've made you grilled cheese in this office from a toaster oven, and the cheese was grilled.
It was so grilled. It was grilled to perfection. I've had a meal from there that it was eggplant parmesan, but the eggplant was green.
That's the one thing I'm allergic to.
Really?
Eggplant, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is delicious.
I know, I do. That's how I found out I was allergic to it, because I really liked it.
Baba ganoush.
Yep.
So I emailed the person in sales who emailed the chef. We had this whole conversation. I suggested a few things that I thought, because I don't want to be annoying. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know that I'm a unique situation, right?
That's the sentiment across the board, right? Like, you with the dietary concern does not want to be a burden.
Yeah, the irony is the people who are annoying are the ones who are like, I don't like onions.
Yes.
Pick them out.
Explicit content. Rocio just flipped off the camera.
But so I suggested like a lot of things that I've made that I felt could be good at scale, like enchiladas
Yeah.
or a Thai curry.
A corn tortilla is gluten-free.
Tortilla.
Right. And they weren't very accommodating. They basically said all of my ideas were not doable.
Because you're not a chef.
The chefiness factor is an aspect.
It is.
Interesting.
It's a challenge.
And then I think the other piece that was so confusing to me and so frustrating and was one of the big factors for me leaving was that there was two sides to this venue. There's the event side, and then there's like the membership side. And as a member, you can go to events, right?
Yeah.
So I would go to events. The food was amazing.
Mm.
I would get these like salmon salads that were
Yep.
delicious.
I would assume
Catering versus corporate dining.
different
I've done both.
culinary teams.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's literally the same building, guys.
Yep,
Like,
yep.
can we just
Oh my
talk
God.
to each other?
Okay, I could have it. We could do an entire like hour-long episode on that.
Yep. But also, like, corporate dining is important as well.
It's so
Like, if you're
important.
working for the big corporations that provide your employees a daily menu,
Yes.
like, you will send people to the hospital
You
if you are
will.
not labeling things correctly.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, forget about impressing your clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And all it comes down to is like, paying a little bit more on that labor line item. Get over it.
yeah.
Get over it. Labor is the hardest part of food and beverage production.
Everything we do for events is labor intensive.
Yes.
From the time the product is ordered.
You can't AI cooking a steak. At least not yet. I don't know. Maybe one day.
Ask ChatGPT to do it.
Go Google coffee bots. Coffee bot fails, and you will see just why Starbucks is not replacing their baristas with robots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want that drink spilled?
Yeah, it's real cool till it's not. Okay. We
So-
are at 30. So closing thoughts.
Lauren?
Let me eat cake. Let me
Ah.
have a flourless, gluten-free cake.
Ooh, I love
Let
a
me have
flourless chocolate
some
cake.
kind of delicious gluten-free option.
You know,
We exist. We're here.
I'm going to shout out Milk Bar
Yeah.
and like Christina Tosi's vision to create an inclusive menu was just on display in my last program that I did.
Yep.
And that gluten-free cake, as soon as the box opened, the gluten-free person in the room like audibly said,
Yes, I mean everything
Yes.
impresses us. We're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
they have it.
Yeah.
and it's doable, right?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
doable.
And oh my god, imagine that a woman CEO is the one who figured it out.
Right.
Cheers to that.
To Christina Tosi.
Yes.
Rocio, closing thoughts?
No, I got none. You guys killed it.
What I will say is that dietary is not going away.
Mhm.
It is important. And it is completely doable to incorporate the experience so that you don't need to be othering.
Yes.
Mhm.
You don't need to be
Shift your perspective.
Scarlet Letter.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not othering. It's VIP. Like
Yep.
we all get the concept of VIP.
And I think too, one of my favorite restaurants in Chicago is Bloom. They recently changed their menu, but they originally were 100% gluten-free and vegetarian.
Oh.
And when I would have friends come in from out of town, I'd take them there. Not a single person has said this is disgusting.
Yeah.
Right. It's like
Everyone
Chicago Diner.
wants to go back.
What's the mustache one in Bucktown?
Cafe Mustache? No.
No, that's Logan. But point being, like,
Yes. Like our food is not that terrible.
No.
no, it's not.
Everyone could eat it.
And you will open up your opportunities, right? If you are the spot, if you are on the restaurant side, harkening
Mhm.
back to our experience with our podcast, like
Mhm.
if you are intentionally crafting your menus to be inclusive,
Yeah.
there is a huge audience out there and you don't need to publish it.
And it can be fun, right? Like,
Yeah.
just be creative with it. Like,
Yeah.
I lived with Megan for 2 years? We live in the Midwest. The idea of cutting cheese out of my diet, like, no.
Not gonna happen.
First of all, I didn't realize how much cheese I ate until I lived with Megan. She's lactose intolerant.
Oh.
But also, like, the shift to, like, just not have it, super easy. Like, I didn't even notice it. And I lost weight, my skin got better.
Hey.
Like, I probably looked the hottest I've ever looked when I lived with Megan because I just eliminated cheese.
Crazy.
Closing thoughts from Rocio.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
No, that's not how that goes.
That's not the right way. I appreciate everything about you, and I appreciate you sharing your experiences and stories here. And again, like more tangible takeaways for any event planner out there
Yes.
who is maybe a little bit miffed that they have to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Whatever. Okay, next time you're reviewing your BEOs, just put this on, and remember, you can take a shot every time a minute goes by, and like you can listen, we can commiserate, and then it's like you're not working alone.
There you go.
Exactly. We're here for you.
Yes, here we are.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
You're so
you.
welcome.